When you're trying to build true wealth, it's different from showing off your stuff or trying to impress people. Instead, it can actually be about embracing humility. I kind of want to talk about this today and why looking poor can actually make you rich. We're living in a world that often values appearances, especially on social media, but keeping a low profile can actually help your bank account and net worth grow faster than you think. My husband Sean and I will just wear like free conference t-shirts. We have a cheap car. We're very unfancy, but I really think it was helpful in our financial freedom journey, and it definitely helped us become multimillionaires. So let's just get into the reasons why. Reason number one, I don't want to worry about expensive possessions. The more expensive stuff you have, the more you have to worry about. And what do I mean by that? If I had an expensive multiple six-figure Ferrari, I would have to worry about it getting scratched up, getting damages, whereas I actually have a used $6,700 Nissan Sentra that I bought all cash. I definitely have scratches on it, but I really don't care about it. I can just drive around without worrying if there are any damages to the car. Another example is engagement rings. Normally they're like $10,000, $20,000. I see my friends around me paying that much for these rings, and I'm like, that is insane. So instead, we go to this outlet mall where we get a diamond ring, but it's $2,000. I wanted a cheaper ring because I knew I was prone to lose stuff. And then the first time I wear it on my birthday, I ended up losing the engagement ring. I think I put it in my hotel room, and I honestly think that it got stolen. But basically, yeah, I lost it and I felt sad about it, but it was more about sentimental reasons. It wasn't because I lost tens of thousands of dollars from this ring. Also, during traveling, so we've been traveling for the past year, and basically it's been easy for me to throw away my clothes that I don't wear as much. I used to have a harder time getting rid of stuff, but when you're traveling out of a suitcase, you kind of realize that you don't need that much, and it's a lot easier to just hold on to what you usually wear. So it made my life a lot easier because I was just holding on to the essentials, which segues to my next point. Reason two, the simplicity of a more minimal life makes space for the things that matter in life. When you have less desires for stuff, you clear space for the stuff that really matters. The external clutter you remove starts translating to everything else in your life. I'm not a minimalist, but when I mentioned the travel and how I was easily able to get rid of stuff, it really made me realize how little I really needed to live a good life. All I was carrying was a suitcase. I was able to travel for 3 years actually without carrying that much, because from 2016 to 2018 I actually traveled by myself solo. As well as this past year, I've been traveling with my husband Sean, and we've just been traveling out of suitcases, and it's just very simple. It really shows how little you need. It then helped remove more of that mental space, making room for me to think about what I wanted in life, things that really mattered in my life, like my health, my loved ones, purpose, and you start building for those things that actually matter. And in my opinion, it's easier to focus on working towards financial freedom when you have the right things in mind, and you also avoid the hedonic treadmill. That new car or luxury item might make you happy for a moment, but eventually that excitement wears off and you're back to where you started. By avoiding this trap, you can focus on the things that truly bring long-term happiness. When you keep your life simple, you're also not tied down to expensive car payments or high bills, which means you're free to explore new opportunities. Simplicity gives you flexibility, peace of mind, and the chance to live on your own terms. This leads me to my next point. Reason three, the recurring costs of holding on to expensive possessions are high. Let's go back to that Ferrari example. For a $300,000 Ferrari with a 20% down payment over 5 years at a 4% interest rate, your payment could be around $4,500 per month. That is insane, right? The cost to insure a Ferrari is also 5 times more than a regular car. You might expect to pay between $500 to $1,500 per month just for insurance. Then there's maintenance and repairs. These cars require specialized maintenance, which can cost between $1,000 to $3,000 annually for routine services, but also unexpected repairs can raise this a lot, because if you need replacement parts, they're gonna be unique parts, and you could be waiting months just to get them. Then with fuel, you're gonna need premium gas, and that can be another $200 to $500 per month. Then you have the registration, taxes, other fees. This all adds up, so in total, you could easily be paying $3,500 to $8,000 per month just on the car alone. It's the same thing with upgrading your house, right? Just to keep up with the Joneses. When you see people you know owning bigger and bigger houses, you might feel like upgrading too, but then you're gonna have to pay more in mortgage, insurance, property taxes, interest, repairs, renovations. Everything adds up. So really, it just creates more recurring fees. And then reason number four, the less expensive stuff you buy, the more you have to save and invest. When you're not trying to keep up with the latest tech, the fanciest stuff, you can save, invest, and even spend money on the things that actually matter to you. value. Like, think about the people who have perfectly good phones, but then they end up upgrading to the next model when it comes out. 65% of people say they live paycheck to paycheck, according to CNBC and SurveyMonkey's recent Your Money International Financial Security Survey. It polled 498 US adults to find these findings. And you might think this is solely due to an income issue, but then there are many people who have high incomes that are still living paycheck to paycheck. This article here mentions over half of Americans making six figures are still living paycheck to paycheck too. Even with that $100,000 salary, tons of people don't have enough left over to save. A lot of this is due to lifestyle inflation. As you make more, you don't have to keep spending more. As an example, even with us, as we started making more with our business, we didn't just upgrade our home. We actually turned our primary home into a monthly furnished rental and then moved into a lower cost of living area into a cheaper home. We didn't care about flexing. We were actually turning our homes into assets that made money for us. This created a lot more freedom for ourselves. By not chasing the latest trends, you can build a safety net like an emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of living expenses. You can also invest in your future, whether that's through education or the stock market. And let's go into an example. If you saved $300 a month by avoiding unnecessary expenses, that can total to $3,600 a year. And then if you invested that, did an automatic recurring monthly investment of $300 per month into an index fund or ETF that tracks the total market. For example, the S&P 500 has averaged 10% annual returns year over year in the past 30 years. If you kept investing that $300 a month, assuming that 10% return, that can grow into over $357,000 over 25 years. The small amounts that you think don't matter can really add up to large amounts that allow you to become financially free. Now let's go into reason 5. It attracts the right people in your life. Sean and I live pretty humbly, but we've also been around people who love to spend. Like every dinner, they'll eat something that has to be super expensive. A lot of times they might pay for everyone's dinner, and we'll pay for ourselves, of course, but we find that it almost makes people uncomfortable and it creates a huge gap, and now money becomes a whole thing. Now you got people who don't feel comfortable hanging out, and even ourselves, we don't want to always drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to grab a meal, right? You create that expectation, and now you're making other people uncomfortable. And you're also possibly attracting people who might only like you for your wealth, that only like you because you're gonna treat them out and take them out to the coolest things, and suddenly you don't know who your real friends are. Like, what if you lost all your money? Are those people gonna be there for you? This past year, we took 2 language immersion programs, one in Taiwan and one in Tokyo, to learn Chinese, learn Japanese. And when we were doing that, we really tried not to let people know who we were. For example, in Tokyo with our Japanese language program, it was only until the last day that they asked for our social media to keep in touch and they found out who we were. I love this because I don't want people to see us any differently, and I don't want people to feel uncomfortable, right? Some people, for example, were just moving to Japan, trying to start a new life there, and they might not have had as much money and they're trying to save money. And I'm so happy to respect that. It was great too when people would tell me their budget so we could do something that worked for all of us. When you live humbly, you attract people who value you for who you are, not what you have. And you're also making things inclusive for everyone. Like, I don't care if you have money or not, we are all equals, right? And these relationships that you create that aren't based on wealth are the best ones that truly matter. All right, reason number 6, you can retire with less. So you can actually retire faster if you focus on your savings rate. This is the ratio between how much you take home yearly after taxes and how much you can live on. So Mr. Money Mustache made this chart, and it shows if you're saving 50% of your take-home pay, you'll be able to retire in 17 years. While if you spend 100% of your take-home pay, you're obviously never gonna retire. Think about it. If you spend everything you earn, how are you ever going to be able to stop working and be able to live? This chart assumes you can earn 5% investment returns after inflation during your savings years, and that you'll also live off the 4% safe withdrawal rate after retirement, meaning you'll only touch the gains and not the principal. And this savings rate has a dual effect. So 1, you increase the amount you have each month, but also 2, you permanently decrease the amount you need each month for the rest of your life. All right, if this concept sounds confusing, let me go back to the 4% rule again. So the 4% rule is a basic guideline that says if you withdraw 4% from your savings every year, you can live off your investments indefinitely. So if your lifestyle costs $40,000 a year, you'll need a nest egg of $1 million to retire, because $40,000 is 4% of $1 million. But if your lifestyle costs $100,000 a year, you'll need $2.5 million to retire comfortably. So simply put, you'll need less to retire if you spend less. So the less fancy stuff you need to buy, the faster you can get to freedom. So I hope you enjoyed these 6 reasons why looking poor can actually make you rich. From simplifying your life to attracting the right people, and even retiring with less, living humbly can bring you peace of mind and financial security. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure sure to check out this other video on the millionaire habits that made me rich. I think you'll like it a lot. Enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.